Hi, I'm here today talking with another EPT practitioner, Dorothy Tomasic from the St. Louis area. And how are you today, Dorothy?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. How are
Thank you
you?
so much for doing this interview with me. I love hearing about people who are doing EPT and getting great results. So I want to start this interview off by asking you to just tell everybody about where you practice, tell about your practice, how people can actually get an appointment with you.
Okay, great. My practice, I have two locations. I work out of my home office, and I also have an office near downtown St. Louis where I work. I share office space with many practitioners, massage therapists, some naturopaths, chiropractors, and other energy healing professionals. So it's a great central location. If people go to my website, myessentialconnections.com, there my phone number is listed. They can email me or call me, and we can get together on an appointment time. I do have flexibility. I try to do one evening appointment per week for those folks who can't come in during the business day. And I usually work one or two half days on Saturdays.
Perfect. When did you take your first EPT training?
That was about 7 years ago.
What kind of, how many trainings have you taken in EPT that have gotten you to this, you've done 7 years now. So
Mhm.
just tell us a little bit about the different trainings that you have taken with EPT.
Yes, I've gone through the core foundational training series, which is 3 classes, the beginner, intermediate, and advanced, at least twice. I'm not exactly certain about that because it has been 7 years a span. I'm going to be doing that again in the fall. Just, there's always new stuff to learn and perfection to take place in technique. So that's happened. Through EPT, the wonderful retreats for practitioners, I've been on about 4 of those. So those are, the 3 4-day retreats.
Awesome. So I know that your background is in speech pathology. So I'm wondering what made you decide to learn EPT?
Um, Probably lots of reasons. I've always been interested in holistic health and just alternative things. I actually had my whole family really did have kind of an extended health crisis, and I was ill secondary to mold exposure for about 9 years actually, and had a lot of allopathic treatment, lots of antibiotics. It was just really a hard time. Probably 40 symptoms that I was dealing with, and just took a toll on my health. And toward the end of that time is when I started learning a little bit more about the emotional component of health, and how important that is. It's not just taking care of the body. And so I learned about EPT from a naturopath that was helping me kind of detox my body from the effects of the mold. And literally on my way out of the Indianapolis area, coming to St. Louis, like a day or two before we moved, I don't know if you remember this, you did a session with my son, and I was blown away. And what I saw, and how quickly and accurately you were able to learn information about the body. I am a researcher type person. I look really closely at making decisions. I decided that day, I'm going to study this. And so drove away from Indianapolis, where the training is, of course, moved to St. Louis, and that happened in June, and I started my classes in the fall.
I remember how sick you were, and I was seeing you even after you had had a lot of natural remedies coming along, and yet you were still struggling. I even remember at one of the retreats in Gatlinburg, there was a moldy bathroom that was having an effect on you. You could so easily, you had such fragile health even then, that you could so easily just be debilitated. And your story of healing has been kind of amazing to me. And now it's been 7 years since a lot of that, the worst part of that. How are you doing now?
My health is very, very good. I have a chiropractor as my primary physician. I always take the natural approach to illness. Even, my goodness, I had a cold, which I rarely get sick, a few weeks back. And, it lingered for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I totally supported it with natural remedies. And, even with a cold, I kind of check, is there some emotional stuff attached to why this virus is hanging on? And I do the work, clear what I need to clear, and then get back to life.
Thank you so much for telling us, your story about very, very debilitating health, because that you basically 7 years ago were struggling to get by, and now you just have this vital health and you're helping other people. And that can be so inspiring to people who are out there who are stuck in just bad health and no energy and an inability to get well, and they're wondering if this is just going to get worse as you get older. And to see you so healthy and so vital is just an inspiration. So I thank you for that.
Oh, thanks.
So what other aside from EPT, what other techniques or trainings have you taken that you've also added to EPT and your practice?
I do 2 or 3 other things. I am an advanced Reiki practitioner. I love Reiki. It's a very quiet, gentle modality. I don't do that for pay with clients. That is for myself. It's for my family, friends, my pets. I even do Reiki with horses on occasion. And so I love that. My true gifts, I believe, are with EPT. I am also emotion code certified, which goes along nicely with EPT. And I also am starting to incorporate meditation into the EPT process. So I've just recently started a study. I'm working with 15 people, and we're kind of pinning down goals and important life information that the clients want to work on, maybe some goals that are elusive or have been. Now that we've kind of pinned it down, we've connected the dots of the emotional component. So there's a new awareness of kind of how to navigate through life. Then using meditation as a tool to kind of embed and imprint the positive affirmations and statements that we use in EPT, so I can give them something to take home and continue the process on a deeper level. So I love that my core technique is EPT. However, I can put my own personality and creativity along with the technique and change it a little bit. And I like that versatility.
What kind of, you kind of mentioned that you've got, you were mentioning your clients, and I'm just wondering, You know, what kind of typical clients do you have or do you see? Are they professional, women, children? I mean, you know, just kind of give us an indication of who you see the most. What's a typical client in your office?
Well, I would say probably about 80 to 90% are women. I love it when I have men come for this work, and I always congratulate them and tell them how important the work is to look at the emotional component of life and relationships and illness and so forth. And they do great. They really do very well in the sessions, and they're surprised and they find they're more insightful than they thought they were sometimes, and I love that. So mainly women. I do work with kids too, and adolescents are awesome. Generally, if there's something kind of heavy that has happened early on in their life, they're closer to it. You know, time-wise, that they remember it, they just don't question it. They get the connections and are ready to move forward. So I love that. One of my favorite teenagers, and this happened to be my son, when he was a teenager, he said the nicest thing, the coolest thing. He said, "Mom, you know, what you do is as weird as it is cool." And I thought that was awesome. And he said something like, "How, you know, when I'm sitting next to you and you're saying these statements, I don't know how you know what to say." He said, "It's like God is sitting right next to me and, you know, whispering this wisdom in my ear." And, you know, that happens in EPT because it's that intuitive nature of not only what the practitioner brings to the you know, the partnership, to the process, but it's also when that intuition kind of rises out of the client. So I love that. I love that compliment.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. That is a beautiful description.
Mhm.
When you do meet new people, what, or even your clients, you know, clients come away and they want to tell people about this and they are, you know, just kind of like don't know what to say. And I've had people say, just go get this done. You won't regret it. And so what do you tell people when they say, well, what is a CPT? What is it?
Well, I probably say it a little differently each time, but basically what I say is I am a practitioner of an emotional energy healing technique that is natural. It's fabulous for stress reduction, and it taps into the wisdom of the body for rapid, wonderful results, emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
What are the top 3 reasons that you would tell someone you should get EPT done?
First of all, that it is a natural way of dealing with life stress. Secondly, let's see if I wrote something down. Secondly, it is an approach that has results in terms of if you're stuck somewhere in your life and you've been repeating these patterns or bumping into the same, you know, challenging personality type or something that's just not working and you can't figure it out. This, if you're ready, really, to look introspectively for answers and solutions, this is something to do. And then the third reason that I would recommend it is that it's not long term. It's not, you know, years and years kind of rehashing old stuff. It can happen very laser fast. And I typically see people 3 to 4 sessions, some fewer, some 1 or 2 sessions, and they've found out what they needed to find out and they move on. And some after 3 or 4 want to continue. They love the journey. And others may just, come back for an energy, emotional healing tune-up every 6 months or a year.
You've been doing this for 7 years, and that's quite a long time to do anything. So I'm just really wanting to know. I love hearing EPT stories that I don't have anything to do with, that other practitioners have experienced this work in their own practice. So I ask everybody, what is the most amazing EPT experience that you have gone through either personally or with a client?
That is challenging for me to answer because, first of all, the adjective that is used most frequently is amazing, because people really are astounded at the connections that are made, how fast they are made, and the shifts that can happen. So, it ranges. Sometimes it's a small shift in maybe a family member who, has been distant for a while. Another family member is doing EPT, and then that other one is calling all of a sudden, and things are back on track. That seems small, but that's kind of a big shift. I worked with a nurse who, just a wonderful, bright professional, and she was dealing with pretty significant, sometimes debilitating shoulder and back pain and lower neck pain. And so, jokingly, I ask, okay, so who is the, or what is the pain in the neck in your life? And, we did the work. We could find out when this started, what the scenario was about it. And, the pain is gone. If it's like a 7 for her on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being really barely noticed, 10 being, excruciating emergency pain, sometimes it's a 7. After a session, it was down to about a 2. The next session, it was gone, and it's been 2 years, it hasn't come back. That is pretty amazing. This is a story that I think illustrates how there can be power in one session. There's a gentleman that I know who, I've talked about this work. He's like, okay, I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about energy healing. I'm not even very interested in it at all, but, show me what you've got. Go ahead and practice on me. This was a few years ago. And so what came up for him, he was talking about, I said, so do you have something that you're concerned about, that we could focus on? That he flies around the country doing his work, and he's a public speaker and so forth. And he started developing excessive, really serious sweating on the airplane before going to his event. And he's like, where's this coming from? Why is this happening? There's nothing physically wrong with me. And so I checked to see, emotionally what was going on, what came up, and it was fear and actually terror that was trapped at around age 17. And so I said, okay, what was going on at that time? Do you remember? And you could just see him kind of turn white. He said, oh yeah, I remember. He said, I borrowed my dad's brand new, I think it was Mercedes, and went joyriding with my best friend. And we had been drinking, got in an accident, wrapped the car around a tree, totaled it. He thought that his best friend had died. And, that emotion, that overwhelming emotion stuck with him cellularly. And so, fast forward 20, 30 years, he had not thought about that in years, maybe even a couple of decades. And so we did the work, we did the forgiveness work, cleared, balanced, all that good stuff. Those sweats never came back. So to me, that is one of those amazing, saw the person only once, and that illustrates the power of tapping into the wisdom of the body and clearing something that needed to be released, but a person would have no idea how to do that. Maybe they worked through it, 20 years ago, but there was still something there that was showing up. The body was speaking, and it needed to be cleared. So how's that?
I love that example. Let me tell you, that particular problem that you're describing, had this man gone to a medical doctor, and he may have, there's a diagnosis for it. It's called idiopathic hyperhidrosis, which in Latin means you sweat a lot and we don't know why.
Whoa.
And I have actually had people with that problem, and EPT helps it.
Yeah.
And yet they want, medically, they offer medication and they give them this diagnosis, and the person kind of goes away and doesn't really get any help. Yeah. So I love that story, because if you were the person who was sweating a lot, you would want some kind of relief. Absolutely. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is.
So Dorothy, how has EPT changed your life for good?
Oh gosh, really coming through the experience that I came through with the 9 years of illness and the stress my family was under, I had to have this in my life, I think, to come out on the other side of good health. So for me, it was life-changing in terms of kind of taking the deep dive into emotional healing. The other thing was it opened up an opportunity for me to use my talents and my gifts as a speech pathologist now in a different realm, using those skills in a different way. What I loved as a speech pathologist was diagnostic work. I was very good at, zooming in, figuring it out, getting the plan together and all that. What was challenging for me is seeing clients for years. Because I worked mainly with a pediatric population. And, you just had to help these kiddos along for a long time. Well, that was boring to me at times. So with EPT, it's the same thing. I get to work with someone new, get to use those diagnostic skills very quickly and, sum things up and figure out what's going on and, do the forgiveness work, do the clearing, and move along. It's like next, and I love that.
Tell me a little bit about your family, Dorothy, your personal life.
Well, I have a husband and I have 2 kids. One's in college, came back yesterday. And I have a daughter in 7th grade, going into 8th grade. And, what a gift for me to be able to have some tools in my toolbox to offer to them, for stress management. And when things come up, for them to know that there are other ways of maintaining, health, and that emotional and mental health is as important, if not more important, than physical health. So my kids will come to me when they need a session. And sometimes they'll ask, I just want it quiet. I don't want to talk. I just want maybe Reiki. Or no, I need to just sit here. You find out what's going on here. And I'm just going to listen to the statements. That's what I need, which, is wonderful. On the bigger kind of family scene, my family is typical. There are relationships that work better than other relationships. What is empowering is when you do this work, you're doing the work for you. You're not doing it for anyone else. You're doing the work for you. And what happens is, energy is energy. We're all connected, we're all one. That effect of your healing is sprinkling out over to other people, whether you're working, with them or for them directly or not. So it's positive.
I would totally agree with you. My favorite thing about EPT is, without a doubt, even though I've done this as a profession for nearly 30 years, is the fact that it changes all my family relationships. It opens me up to be able to experience, greater depth of love and connection with the people that matter to me the most. And for that, I am so grateful to God that I got to do this. And it definitely brought more joy into every aspect of my personal life, that it would take me a long time to tell all that I have been through with this, and with children and parents and siblings. It just goes on and on. Yeah. So I love hearing about people's families, because really those are the people that matter the most to each one of us, are those that we're going to spend our days with. And that are going to be there when we're old.
Right. That's right. Exactly.
If we make it to old, well, I'm definitely getting there. Finally, I want to wrap up by asking, if what would you tell someone who is considering maybe taking EPT for the first time as a training? What would you tell them?
Oh, as a training, you have to. You have to. If the opportunity is there, if you're even considering it, that means you're being drawn to it. And I think there's like no turning back. So you will gain so much, personally and professionally, and where you'll go with it is really up to you. Like I didn't know, when I started, that I would be doing this study with 15 people who are so excited about it. I did my first recording today, and nothing but positive feelings and thanks. We know this. We know in this field that this is the medicine of the future. And a lot of what we do is word medicine, but words matter. And I would just say, go for it. Because you know what? If you find it's not for you, and it doesn't help you, which you're not going to find that, then, that's okay. You've still had a positive experience. So I would highly encourage.
Thank you. Thank you. I love what you said, no turning back. I quite often say, when I started doing this type of work, it was like going to, seeing the internet for the first time. I'm never going to the library reference section again.
Right.
Once you see the internet, there is no more trekking into the library to the library reference section. Your whole world turns upside down, and how you're navigating it changes. Yeah. And there is no turning back. And it's a great road to take. I just thank you again. We're going to conclude here, and it is wonderful to see you, Dorothy. I love you. I appreciate you. I love knowing that there's somebody bringing this work into the St. Louis area and seeing incredible changes. For everyone listening to this, you can connect with Dorothy Tomasic at www.myessentialconnections.com. Look for her in St. Louis, or if you want to connect in any way, you know, give her a call, check her out. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Annette, and congratulations on your book. Love it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.